morning. Welcome to the session on speaking. Well, this is one of the important skills for technical and non-technical personalities. Well, the reason for I use the word technical and non-technical here is in an environment and in an atmosphere of engineers, life is all technical, whereas non-technical is maybe the other professions, such as maybe even for teachers, students, other courses, people who study other courses. Even standardized tests such as TOEFL, IELTS, nowadays they test the speaking abilities. The reason is, in the given time, how best will the student or will the learner be able to understand a spoken text message, retain the text, and reproduce it in the given maybe 5 minutes, 4 minutes, or 3 minutes time. How good is his pronunciation? What sort of words? What sort of sentences? Grammar? Okay, all this. Well, speaking is one of the art. It's one of the arts. Some of them they speak fluently, eloquently. Some of them they speak very, very, lucidly, in a simple and lucid style. When we listen to them, we feel like listening to them for some more time. Whereas others, when they speak, we feel like, oh my God, when is this man going to stop? That sort of feeling. Let us go and see. Let's go and study. What goes into this skill of speaking? What do we require for speaking? And the nuances of it. Here we go. I am Sunil Solomon Philip, working as an assistant professor of English in the Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. And here we go to learn more about the skill of speaking. All right. Well, the essentials of effective speaking skills. The first one that one should remember is the audience is not the enemy. I don't know, for reasons unknown, most of us, or at least some of us, the moment they see the audience, they feel so uncomfortable. They feel so nervous. They feel so panicky. They press all sorts of panic buttons. Well, here the reasons can be, the primary reason here can be poor preparation. I always emphasize this in all my lectures, in all my teachings. There are 3 P's for effective speaking, and the 3 P's are, number 1 is preparation. I'm writing it on the digital board for the convenience of all our listeners and viewers. Number 2 is, the first one is planning. The first one is plan. Then the second one is prepare. Prepare very well. Number 3, present. So when the planning is improper, when the planning is not appropriate, and when there is no proper preparation, there is no proper homework for it, right? In terms of slides, in terms of studying the subject knowledge, right? Guessing the questions of the viewers or audience, naturally the person will be a bit shaky. Well, at times, regardless of how best we prepare, how in depth and how at length we prepare, we still have those, speaking, panic episodes. I call it as speaking panic episodes. You see, any art, any skill can be refined. It can be fine-tuned by practicing it more number of times. The first one in the essentials of effective speaking skills, therefore, is never ever treat audience as your enemy. They are not your enemies, right? And try to gel well with them. Try to connect with the audience. Well, that sort of gel well with the audience attitude comes with proper planning, proper preparation. This is where I stop. This is where I try to pose some questions. This is where I try to motivate them, inspire them. This is where I try to mobilize them. See, all this is meticulous, very, very finicky planning and preparation that should go into that for effective presentation. Okay, fine, great. Now, uh, fear factor of the hostile audience that should be overcome. What do we mean by the fear factor? Well, uh, some of them, interestingly, or for reasons unknown, they press panic buttons the moment they see some of the viewers there in the group. Their fear, their worry is probably I may not be able to justify the topic that is given to me, or maybe at the end of the session, the kind of questions that they pose to me, will I be able to answer all those questions? Is my preparation good? Am I audible? Is my pronunciation correct? Is my grammar free of mistakes? Lots of questions they bother. Most importantly, a technical personality. A non-technical person, such as, imagine a person who is studying conventional courses such as maybe BA, BSc, BCom. There, the scenario is different. Whereas when it comes to a technical study, a professional study such as engineering, right here, uh, students may be or may not be exposed to full-fledged knowledge of language skills all the time. Therefore, they have these doubts at times because their knowledge of their technical knowledge is sound. When it comes to their present knowledge of presentation, when it comes to the knowledge of their expression, communication, interaction, so there they might fail. I'm not saying they will fail, they might fail. So fear factor of the hostile audience, that should be first of all try to overcome the fear factor of the hostile. By the word hostile, what I mean to say is, strong dislike or strong rejection. Imagine some of them, they sit there in the audience or in the in these viewers section with a sort of judging mentality, with a sort of mentality to see only the negative points in the speaker or in the presenter. Okay, these people are always there. They are present everywhere. So never ever bother much about them. You need to positively and in a very balanced manner, very patiently and in a very, very cool manner handle the attitude, the approach, and the questions, the body language, the approach of that kind of hostile audience. You see, your positive vibes, your confidence levels, and your perfect, meticulous planning and preparation will make them sit silently and focus on what you are doing. You see, that would silence your critics. You can silence your critics by your appropriate planning and preparation. That can lead to very effective and efficient presentation. I hope all of you will agree with me. Okay, right. Here we go and see more about the effective speaking skills, our effective speaking essentials. Locate the friendly faces which will drive you forward to present successfully, confidently, and boldly. What do I mean by this? What I mean here is, you see, in a webinar, in a seminar, or even in a classroom, or maybe if you are doing it in front of the interviewers, right? Even if it is in front of the interviewers, as students, when you go, face those job interviews, if not all the five of them, or at least one or two of them, they have those cheerful faces, or at least one of them might have. I'm not saying they will definitely. At least one of them might have those, that cheerful face, that positive face, those positive vibes. Try to locate that friendly face. Try to recognize and identify those friendly faces. If it is in the audience, try to locate those friendly faces, cheerful faces. Faces that would encourage you, motivate you, inspire you. Try to locate them. And these faces will drive you forward to present successfully, confidently, and boldly. Mind you, the process of communication depends on five important elements. Here, the sender, the receiver, the channel, the feedback, and the message. All the five are important. Sender meaning the one, I am the one, the one who is talking to you now on this channel. Receiver is you. So the medium here is through this camera. right? The message, the text that I'm trying to send to you is the essentials of, effective speaking essentials. And the feedback is the one that you give me at the end of this, session. What I'm trying to say here is the role of receiver is equally important in this process of communication. So you can actually take the positive faces, positive vibes, positive body language, gestures, emotions, expressions of the listeners as your driving factors to speak fluently, efficiently, confidently, successfully, so that the point is sent across. The point is, properly explained to the audience. I hope all of you will agree with me. So the important factors here are: number one, never ever treat audience as enemy. They are not your enemies. They are there to learn from you. Okay, they are there to listen to you. They are there to probably to learn something new that you are going to explain to all of them. Always look at them in such a manner. Never ever see them as some sort of enemies. Number two, never ever be afraid or never ever feel panicky about the hostile audience. By the word hostile, I've already given you the meaning of that. People who strongly dislike something, people who strongly reject something. Strong dislike or strong rejection is hostility. So though they sit with that sort of attitude, your approach, your body language, your preparation, your content will definitely make them engrossed. You can make them engrossed. You can make them involved, right? Immersed in whatever that is being explained in the subject. All right. And never forget to look at those friendly faces. You see, I don't mean to say all the faces are very friendly. Some of them are friendly. Some of them are maybe a bit very kind of non-expressive, kind of very, very passive kind of faces that are like there are no emotions. They are like stones, maybe sitting there just looking at you very seriously, frowning at you kind of thing, staring at you kind of thing. Don't bother much about them. Just take it easily, relax, chill, cool. And then you'll see, always believe in yourself. Go ahead with your preparation, with your planning, with your presentation. Here we go to know and study more about the effectiveness of speaking essentials, or the effective speaking essentials. Jot down your talk word for word. By the word jotting down your talk word for word is write down your talk word for word. Why is this important? See, you might have studied a lot. You might have prepared, maybe you might have referred to some 10, 15, 20 books, or you might have referred some 10, 15, 20 websites. But to remember all those quotations, all those driving points, I'm one of the resource persons of Oxford University Press. I conduct workshops on communication skills, motivation, classroom management for school teachers. Now, whenever I go to those workshops, I always ensure that my notepad is ready. Meaning my lesson plan is ready. For example, if I'm talking about learning styles, right? Howard Gardner has spoken at length and in depth about learning styles of different learners. He says visual learners, audio learners, verbal learners, physical learners, logical learners, societal learners, and solitary learners. So what I've done is I have framed a password for myself for different kinds of learners. So I've taken it as, I'm writing it again on the board for the convenience of our viewers. VAVPLSS. So I have taken it this way. I've taken it as VAVPLSS. To remember the 7 learning styles, I have framed a password for myself. Mnemonics. In educational psychology, we call it as mnemonics. That means with the help of symbols, with the help of signs, we can remember the driving points, the subheadings of our presentation, of our explanation. So the first one here is, because different kinds of listeners, different kinds of readers and listeners, they learn in different styles. So here for that, I've taken it as first one as verbal, second as audio, third one is visual, fourth one is physical, fifth one is logical, sixth one is societal, and the last one S is solitary, meaning solo learning. Right? He doesn't mingle with others. He sits silently in a space and he reads very calmly, and he's a solo learner. He doesn't like combined studies kind of learning. So writing the speech word for word is very, very important, so that we can recall the context, we can always retain the text, and we can reproduce it in our presentation. Right? So contextually, when you have those subheadings there, you can actually recollect whatever you studied in that book, in that website, in that particular site, so that as a presenter, as a sender, as a speaker, as a guest speaker or as chief speaker, you can explain the points confidently, lucidly, boldly, successfully to the listeners, to the audience. Right, great. Now, good speaking begins with good writing. Good writing depends on good editing. What do I mean by this? If you want to become a good speaker, you should also become a good writer. What do I mean? Am I asking you to write books or write papers or so on and so forth? No. All that I'm trying to highlight here, emphasize here, reiterate here is, remember I've used 3 synonyms here. Highlight, emphasize, reiterate. Okay? The mantra of synonyms. Okay, right. When you maintain a notepad and when you jot down the important points, you will understand and you will learn the art of note making. Remember, I am writing the point again for the convenience of all of you. What I'm trying to say here is, it is called as note making. Note making. This also, I've explained this, time and again. Let me repeat that explanation for all of you. Note making is, for example, when you prepare for your examinations, when you prepare for job interviews, you will always go for important points to be noted. So you will go for note making there. Subheadings, okay, maybe passwords such as this, diagrams, parts, right, graphs, flowcharts, note making. This is when you go for self-study. You do note making in the case of self-study or maybe combined study. You will go for note taking. There is another word called as note taking. What is that? Note taking is when a lecture is on, you will note down the important points of that lecture. When a professor explains his points, right, you will jot down the subheadings of it, the important driving points of it, for your easy understanding. It is also called as paraphrasing. Let me write it again for the convenience of all of you. Paraphrasing. Well, in both note making and note taking, you use the skill of paraphrasing. What is paraphrasing? Writing down or decoding the text or message according to your own understanding levels, your perception levels, so that you can make your own notes. You can take your notes easily in a pointed manner, so that next time when you refer to that notes, next time when you go back and see that notes, you can easily recollect, you can easily recall whatever has been explained in the classroom, or whatever you read in a particular text, in a website, in a text, or whatsoever. Therefore, hence, that is what I mean to say about good writing skills. It's almost the kind of dictation that you did or I did maybe in my primary classes. To teach us spellings, our English teachers used to dictate words for us, right? So by listening to the word, we used to write the correct spelling of the word. In the same fashion, in the same manner, we need to know how to go for note making in the case of self-study or combined study. We should also, learn the habit. We should develop the habit of note taking while listening to the lectures effectively, efficiently. All of us write notes, but you see, bad handwriting. Mahatma Gandhi himself said, bad handwriting is an imperfect part of education. I repeat, the father of our nation, India, right? Mahatma Gandhi, he himself said, bad handwriting is an imperfect part of education. So as far as possible, make sure that your handwriting is understandable, legible. That's the reason in examination instructions you see there, in the instructions to candidates as write in neat and legible handwriting. What do they mean by legible handwriting? Because the one who corrects your paper should be able to understand your handwriting. Otherwise, how can he award you marks? This is where most of the engineering students lose precious marks. They prepare well, they present their ideas well on a piece of paper, but the way they write is so shabby, so clumsy, so cluttered. Try to make it, as appealing as possible, as neatly as possible. Try to write it as neatly as possible. Right? Take some time, leave some margins, write it neatly, give those strokes when you write. Practice it if you don't know. Right? Don't write like doctors and scientists, because the prescription of the doctor only the medical shop chemist or druggist will understand. When we see those medicines, we cannot understand the names of those medicines. Your examination should not be written in such a kind of manner. Mind all of you, all the viewers. This is a very, very important instruction to all those viewers who are, watching this program. All right, great. So, note making, note taking, both the skills are very important for effective speaking skills. Verbal communication and for non-verbal communication. You might have heard about shorthand course. Most of these journalists, most of these press people, when they listen to the ministers' talks, when they go for interviews, they use shorthand. Shorthand is such kind of language which uses lots and lots of symbols, so that in the given time, no word is missed and important points are properly covered. So your note-making skills, your note-taking skills should be written in such a kind of manner, so that important points are not missed out. You write it in your own understandable language, paraphrased language, so that you can easily recall it and recollect it, so that you can reproduce it depending on the context and situation, when the situation demands. All right, great. Now, editing is equally important in terms of spellings, in terms of grammar, in terms of space or commas or full stops or semicolons or hyphens or whatsoever. So be careful about the editing part of it too. Punctuation marks, I mean to say. Now, writing the ideas on the paper provides the required procedure and the methodology of the speech. What is this? When you jot down your ideas on a piece of paper, when you write down your ideas, views and opinions on a piece of paper, your presentation will become concrete. It will become substantial because you have got evidential notes in front of you. It is not abstract. It is not something in the air. It is something that you can physically see, physically touch, concrete, substantial. It is very tangible. It becomes tangible. That means your views and ideas can become tangible when you write it on a piece of paper, when you jot it down on a piece of paper. So that is the importance of writing. Most of the engineering students are very lethargic. I observe this in the classrooms too. What they want is they want everything in the form of kind of fast food kind of preparation. They love to work on a computer, but maybe not on a piece of paper. That's a very bad habit. What will happen is gradually we will forget the knowledge of spellings. We'll forget the knowledge of grammar. We'll forget the knowledge of vocabulary, sentence formation. That's the reason whenever a student is asked to write a small letter, a brief letter, he has hiccups. He has some sort of problems. Why? Because the skill of writing is not practiced in the classrooms. The skill of note-taking, the skill of note-making is not properly practiced. So never be lethargic. Be a very active, vibrant, energetic student in practicing these skills of note-making and note-taking. Note-making in the case of self-preparation, self-study. Note-taking in the case of listening to lectures. Because simultaneously your ears, your eyes, and your hands, they should work in coordination, so that whatever you have listened to, whatever you have paid attention to is properly grasped, properly understood, and properly recalled and recollected based on the context. It is properly retained so that it is reproduced in the case of examinations, in the case of interviews, in the case of debates, discussions, in the case of presentations. All right, great. And this concrete and substantial blueprint or layout will help and enable the speaker to be confident and undivided throughout the course of the speech. Well, when the blueprint, when the layout is properly laid out, right, when it is properly designed and developed, that will give the speaker the required impetus, the required energy levels to be confident, undivided, and undistracted throughout the course of his lecture, throughout the course of his presentation or speech. Tomorrow, as an engineer, probably you will have to do presentations. You will have to do maybe project reports in front of the viewers, in front of the experts, masters, specialists. So all this will depend upon your proper planning, proper preparation. Your presentation is decided by proper planning and preparation, by proper note making and note taking, by proper paraphrasing, so that your confidence levels are boosted, your confidence levels are elevated, and you can present yourself successfully in front of them without any hiccups. Great. Let's go and see more about these essentials of effective speaking skills. Breathe life with images and examples. So what is breathing life with images and examples? A Chinese proverb says, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I repeat, a Chinese proverb says, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So as a science student, as an engineering student, you know the importance of diagrams. You know the importance of flowcharts, graphs, okay, images, pictures, right? So we can bring life to our words with the help of those colorful images and examples. This is where style becomes apparent. Whatever you want to explain, maybe in 1,000 words, that can be explained with the help of only one neat and well-labeled diagram. I come from also botany background. My botany lecturer used to always tell us that, see, whenever you draw a neat and well-labeled diagram. We also see those kinds of questions in question papers. It should be neat, it should be well-labeled, right? So the images, colors speak languages, and these colorful images can breathe life to your words, to your expression, to your presentation. Okay? Right, great. Handpick the words to evoke the imagination of the audience. You need to always choose the words. Handpick. Whenever you go to a vegetable shop or whenever you go to a fruit shop, you don't pick everything that is available there. You will be very careful about handpicking only the good ones, and you will definitely discard the rotten ones. In the same fashion, in a similar manner, choose your words depending on the context, depending on the situation, to evoke the imagination of the creativity levels of the audience, to appeal to the audience, to make them get engrossed in your presentation and understand the point properly. This will help in triggering the audience's visualization. What is visualization? How can we trigger the visualization of the audience? Well, when the preparation is proper and when the words are sufficient and when the words are appropriate, that will definitely trigger the visualization of the audience. They can easily understand whatever is being explained. They can easily, foresee, they can easily predict, they can easily imagine whatever is being explained with the help of, those words. So images, examples, and words. Remember them and use them properly in your presentations. Let's see more about this. Well, Jack, jokes, anecdotes, and quotations. What is this? Make a point, tell a story. The point in the speaker's talk should be driven home. The talk should be thought-provoking, brainstorming, innovative, and provide the scope to the audience to discover through experiencing it. This can be done with the help of stories or anecdotes. Well, points are good, but in addition to points, moreover, also tell them stories, because stories can actually evoke their imagination levels. They can actually elevate their moods. They can actually take them to that visualized atmosphere or visualized environment. The point in the speaker's talk should be driven home with the help of maybe petty jokes, smaller jokes here and there. Okay, I am reminded of it may be a joke while talking about articles, right? Whenever I introduce articles, I generally take this context there. A boy was standing at the door trying to reach the doorbell. I repeat, a boy was standing at the door trying to reach the doorbell. A passerby, by looking at the plight of the boy, came to his rescue. I repeat, a passerby, by looking at the plight of the boy, came to his rescue. Now, the boy said to the passerby, "Sir, let us run away from here before the old lady appears with a stick in her hand." He said to the passerby, "Sir, let us run away from here before the old lady appears with a stick in her hand." Well, all that I'm trying to say here is, I don't know whether you have understood the joke properly or not. Here I'm introducing a joke. I'm also explaining them articles, the importance of articles, what's the definition of article, what's the meaning of articles in one joke. See, when the first time when I said about the boy, I said a boy was standing at the door trying to reach the doorbell, right? The second time when I said about the passerby, the first time when I introduced the passerby in this context or situation, I said a passerby, okay, by looking at the plight of the boy, came to his rescue. The next time while I'm talking about the boy, I said the boy said to the passerby. The boy said to the passerby, "Sir, let us run away from here before the old lady appears with a stick in her hand." Well, the job of this fellow, of this little boy, is always to go to that house where that old lady lives. He goes there, rings the bell, and runs away before the old lady appears there with a stick in her hand, saying, "Hey, who is that?" By the time the old lady opens the door, this fellow would ring the bell and run away from the doorpost. That is the regular job of the boy, to tease the old lady who lives in that house, to harass that old lady who lives in that house. Therefore, here it is a joke, and here I'm introducing indefinite articles that are a and am, right? And I'm also introducing, right, the definite article the. The importance of indefinite article and definite article is explained with the help of only one context there. Likewise, there are so many, instances, situations, right? I've just given an example there about a joke or an anecdote also, right? Quotations, yes, that's the reason in engineering colleges you see lots and lots of quotations, because quotations, you can learn a lot of English from quotations, and they are very inspiring, motivating, and they are like driving factors in any presentation. So never ever neglect quotations whenever you read them, whenever you see them. Try to make a note, try to use them in your presentation, try to use them in your examinations. You definitely, those quotations will fetch you very good marks, right? Great. The point in the speaker's talk should be driven home. The talk should be thought-provoking, brainstorming, innovative, and that should provide the scope to the audience to discover through experiencing it. Now, in the joke, in the anecdote, in the quotation that I've given just now, that will give a scope to the audience to enjoy the joke, to experience the context and visualize the situation, the old lady, the boy who teases her, the passerby who observed the plight of the boy and came to his rescue. All this situation will help them visualize, imagine for themselves, create a situation for themselves, right? Like Ark and Narayan's, plays, okay? Like Malgudi Days kind of thing. That will help them to discover, the meaning of definite and indefinite articles through experiencing them. So they will be thought-provoking, they will be brainstorming, they will be innovative, creative, imaginative. This can be done with the help of stories or anecdotes. Right, great. 6 emotions to fix. What are these 6 emotions to fix? Right? And those 6 emotions are, in presentations, in speaking, happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, disgust, and fear. I repeat, happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, disgust, and fear. Handpick words not only for image creation, but also to evoke one of the 6 emotions, right? So your emotions, that's the reason there is one beautiful quotation in English language. Emotions need expressions, expressions need language. I repeat, emotions, they need expressions. Expressions need language. In non-verbal communication, while chatting, while interacting on WhatsApp and other places, we use emote icons. Smile, sad, frowning, thinking, all that. In a similar fashion, when we are doing it in verbal communication, to express happiness, to express sadness, to express my point properly, to express anger, surprise, disgust, fear, I need words. So handpick words not only for image creation, but also to evoke one of the six emotions that are given here. Six emotions to connect, right? If the speaker can enable the audience to empathize with him, then they will be more willing to accept the message delivered. So what is the meaning of empathy here? Stepping into the shoes of the opposite person is empathy. If the speaker can, empower, enlighten, enrich the audience to empathize with him, they will be very, more willingly, more than happy to accept the message that is delivered. That means, that gel well attitude, with the help of these six emotions, with the help of proper words, right? That will, shape him as one of the powerful speakers. Right, great. The power of laughter. Don't underestimate the power of laughter, because humor is the tonic of our lives. It's a kind of medicine for our lives that will enliven the moods, that will cheer up the atmosphere, that will elevate the energy levels, that will elevate the creativity and imagination levels, that will elevate the power of visualization, rather, right? So that's the reason nowadays we use a word called edutainment, education plus entertainment. You see that blend, education plus entertainment. So we live in such kind of world. So never ever neglect the power of laughter. Don't be very serious in presentation. Try to crack jokes here and there, relevant jokes, not unparliamentary, not unparliamentary words, or not unparliamentary language. Acceptable terms and acceptable jokes, depending on the context and situation. Right. Laughing results in relaxation. Relaxed minds are more receptive to learning. A professional joke teller need not be a comedian. You need not become a joker in front of them, but jokes in a proper fashion, where use those jokes to drive your point across. Use those jokes to explain your point to the audience in a very relaxed atmosphere. Right. Jot down in a notebook or carry a digital recorder and execute. Create a humor file and execute it in the speech decently and humorously. A notepad to help you to just cross-check, or maybe PowerPoint slides to help you to explain your points lucidly, clearly, and correctly. That's the power of laughter. Okay, great. Don't tell them, take them. Don't be a reporter in narrating an incident or event as a routine job. Take the audience as an eyewitness to the context by acting it out with movements, gestures, vocal inflections that put them right there in the middle of the action. That means, do not be a very boring storyteller, because storytelling is also an art. So your intonation, modulation of voice, melody patterns is very important in pronunciation, in speaking, in explaining. And the words that you use, correct stress, correct intonation, okay, rhythm. And most importantly, the kind of act it out in front of the audience is something. Don't tell them, take them, is act out in front of the audience. Use your fingers, gestures, facial expressions, emotions, okay, body language, lots and lots of eye contact, nodding, smile, right? Make it as vibrant, as interesting, as innovative, as creative and imaginative as possible, so that the audience are with you, and they are there, they are with you, and they can feel like they are connected with you throughout the course of your presentation. Great. The 3 R's: recall the context, retain the text, reproduce it in the test. Right? Contextually, situationally, you need to recall. Even today, I remember most of the phrases and expressions, target language expressions that I learned from my professors in their connected speech, in their spoken English, in their written English. How? Based on the context. When someone passed away, one professor was telling the other person, take heart, do not lose your heart. What does she mean by that? She's trying to encourage the person, right? Yes, there's a death in the family, but she comes there and she tells her colleague, take heart, don't lose your heart. So contextually recall those phrases and expressions and retain the text, retention. Reproduce it in the test, the 3 R's. Right, great. Now, What are the 7 effective speaking essentials that we have learned in this session? They are: number 1, write your speech or write your presentation word for word. Number 1. Number 2, bring life to your words with colorful images and examples. A Chinese proverb: a picture is worth 1,000 words. Point number 3, make a point, tell a story, right? Don't make it boring. Try to make it as interesting and try to make it as creative as possible. Point number 4, 6 emotions that will connect with any audience: happiness, sadness, anger, surprise, disgust, and fear. The 6 emotions. Point number 5, don't underestimate the power of laughter. Laughter, humor, the medicine of our lives. Don't underestimate that. Use it as much as possible in your presentations. Point number 6, don't tell them, take them, right? Act it out. Be a sort of person who uses your non-verbal communication: gestures, hands, fingers, shoulders, eye contact, nodding, all these things. Last but not the least, 7th one, recall the context, retain the text, and reproduce it in the test. The 3 R's of effective speaking essentials. Your takeaway, okay? So the 7 effective speaking essentials, do not forget them, remember them, okay, retain them, and reproduce them in your examinations, job interviews, debates, and discussions. That's all I have for you in this program. Thank you for watching. Keep watching IARE YouTube. I'm Sunil Solomon Philip. Thank you very much.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.